Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Hey everybody, we thank you for tuning in this week. Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with our video this week, so you are going to get an audio only episode. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Please enjoy the episode, and you will get back to seeing us wilding out in the studio next week. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Remember, death and life are in the power of your tongue, so make sure you're speaking life. Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another wonderful week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside my beautiful and amazing wife and co-host.
Hey, wonderful people. Welcome to the Speak Life podcast. This is your co-host, the one and only Sheikah. Welcome again to another wonderful episode.
Yes, we are so excited to have you with us. If this is your first time, do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment to be a part of the conversation. And go and tell your friends to come along too. We want them to see what's going on over on the podcast. Now, if you join us week after week, if you continue to rock with us, we appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all, all of our faithful listeners.
Always listening.
Always tuning in. Always dropping them comments. We love and appreciate y'all. Y'all keep us going. You know, the feedback that we receive, it just keeps us really pushing to make sure we're dropping great content for y'all. Now, today, we are going to talk about another interesting topic. I know y'all were surprised that I was going to say that, right? Another interesting topic.
They're all awesome. All of them.
I just like where it's going, but we are going to talk about another interesting topic, and I think this one's going to be important for our listeners as well as for us, you know. And the thing we want to talk about, you know, today is just really managing the seasons of life. You know, when we talk about seasons, we can really refer to anything that happens in our life, you know, as having a season. We could talk about relationships. We could talk about, you know, friendships. We could talk about jobs. You know, we could talk about food, as you always say, you know. And, you know, Ecclesiastes 3 says there is a season and a time for everything under the sun, or a time and a season for everything under the sun. Mm-hmm. You know, so to just really start off the conversation, I'm going to ask you, do you really believe that? And if so, why?
I do believe that there's a season and there's a time for everything. I just look at the weather. We just came out of winter. I was wearing puffy jacket. We had to wear hats. We had to wear boots. Now it's spring, where we're wearing lighter jackets. No, I'm not even wearing. I can't tell when the last time I wear boots. I'm wearing like sneakers and, you know, shoes. Like, but so I believe that there's a season for everything, and sometimes the season is good, sometimes it's bad. Like winter, I don't like winter. I do not like the cold. Fan. So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I was dreading going out at all in the winter because I do not like the cold. But now it's spring and I'm like, I don't mind. Some days are nice. Some days may feel like, you know, a little chillier than, you know, usual, but it's still nicer than winter. So, I think, did I answer the question?
Yeah. I think
I'm like,
I believe that, you know, as I started off saying, I think that everything really happens in seasons. I think there's time limits for everything. And when we talk about life in general, you know, just going through life, you see that if there's one thing that remains constant about life, you know, is that things are always changing. Yep. Things are always changing. The minute you get accustomed to something, it's like, boom, here comes change. And you're like, dag, I wasn't even thinking I was going to change.
Yeah.
I wasn't. So it's like, it's kind of like hide and go seek. It's like ready or not, here I come. Mm-hmm. Change is going to come. The end of some things are going to come. New things are going to happen. So it's always adjusting to different things that are going on around us. So I definitely think that, Solomon was onto something when he was like, listen, there's a time and a season for everything under the sun. With this next piece, I'm just curious on your thoughts about this. What are some good things about seasons? I have some thoughts on this, but I'm gonna let you go first because I'm a gentleman.
Ladies first. I think that some good things about season is that sometimes you could be in a season of your life where you're happy. You're so happy that you don't want to come out of it. Things are going good. Life is good. You're living your best life. And it just feel like a great place to be at that time where you don't want it to end. And also you could be in a season of just kind of trying to just finding yourself, finding who you are, loving on yourself, enjoying you as a person, and you haven't been there before. So now that you're there, it's like, oh my gosh, can I just stay in this space? Like you're in a mindset, you're in the where you are in your mind is comfortable, it's happy, it's going good, you're excited, you're not stressed, you're not crying every night, you're not worrying, you're just comfortable, and you just don't want to come out of that season because you know that before you got to that season, you just came out of a rocky, bad season.
Those
and you're like, oh my gosh,
fun.
I remember that. I don't want to go back there. So now that I'm right here, I'm happy and I just want to stay there. Nice.
I think for me, one of the best things about seasons is the fact that you can prepare for them. You can prepare for what's coming. You may not necessarily know what's coming. But if for example, winter's coming, you can prepare for it. If you know summer's coming, you can prepare for it. So there is some preparation that you can do before the season arrives.
But there's some season though, because the season that we went through in 2017, when we lost, our aunt, it's like we wasn't prepared for that.
I say you can prepare for every season. I'm like, there's no way in my wildest dreams that I would have thought that we would have been.
Because she wasn't sick or anything, so that.
It's like there's no way.
Just wake up one day and it's like,
man,
you
can't. So I will revise.
Yes,
I will revise that answer.
Please.
You can't prepare for every season. You can't prepare for every season.
It depends.
But there are some seasons you can kind of prepare for. You can prepare yourself to encounter what you are thinking is going to come. But that's not all the time. And that piece right there was going to go on my negativity piece about the season. Another good thing about seasons, in my opinion, is the fact that, they don't last forever.
They don't last forever, yeah.
So, which can also be a double-edged sword. That could also go on my bad side, and I'll explain that when we get to the negative parts about seasons. But the good thing about seasons is the fact that if you're going through a rough season, if you're going through a season that you don't necessarily like or enjoy, and you're like, oh man, I just want it to be over. So fortunately for you, that season, even if it seems long, it will not be forever, because seasons have this really crazy thing that they do. They change.
Yeah.
So I think with that piece, those are some of the things that I think are amazing about seasons. Another thing, I'll leave that for more towards the end. Now for the negative part about seasons. This one seems to be a lot easier because oh man. One of the things that I don't like about seasons the most, this is my all-time number one reason that I dislike seasons, is the fact, not that they change. No, I can deal with the fact that they change. My problem is, it's kind of like the lottery. You just don't know when that season's gonna change.
Yeah.
You could be like, oh yes, I am on the mountaintop. Things are going great. I'm out here living my best life. And then, boom, your season done changed.
Yeah, and what I don't like about season 2 is that like you said, definitely you don't know when it's gonna change. But what I really dislike about it is that when you're in it, it seems like it's the end of the world.
Oh my gosh.
It seems like everything is coming crumbling down. And also like how you deal with things within that season of your life when everything is seem like it's going bad determines your health. Determines like how like the little s of things can affect your health that quick.
And that's crazy.
That quick. Because how you feel stress, how you feel can start causing like your body to react in a certain way. Like you'll start having heart like issues, like your chest hurting,
panic
your
attacks,
head is hurting,
anxiety, headaches,
like all
migraines.
Different kind of stuff can happen through that season that may not be long, but it seems like it's forever. It feels like it's forever. But when you're going through a good season now, it seems like it ends so quickly. You're like, man, I just got into this season. But you're having so much fun that you don't realize how long you've been in that season.
And that's what they say. Time flies when you're having fun.
When you're having fun. So when you're in a bad season now,
oh my gosh,
it's like, it feels like it's lasting forever. And you're like, God, when am I going to get out of this season?
It feels like work on a Monday morning.
Yeah, you just can't get a break, So that's what I don't like about season, because it just seems like it's forever.
I was about to say that. With the bad seasons feel like they ain't going anywhere. Yeah. You're just sitting there like, I feel like I've been in this season forever.
Yeah.
You find, like for me, when I'm going through those seasons, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, God, like, yo, what's up? Like,
are you hearing me?
I don't even be like, are you hearing me? I'm like,
is this
for real though, when is this gonna end though? Like, I'm like, I feel like I've been here for a while. Like, I think I don't know what it is that you're trying to teach me in this, but I feel like I learned my lesson. Can we get out this season now? And God's just in there like, sit tight, sir. Buckle in. It's going to be a long ride, Yeah. I think another thing that bothers me about seasons, this is the ranting of the managing seasons in your life episode. Another thing I don't like about seasons is you don't know what season's coming next.
You don't. But you know what though? It seemed like, and this is from experience, it seemed like when you're going through a bad season, the next season that follows, it's a little bit better.
Oh, I will say that. It
doesn't seem like you leave out of a bad season
to a worse season. I think that would be kind of cruel.
It's like you come out of a bad season, but you go into a season that you're like, okay, I would rather take this than that. That
I can agree on.
Yeah.
So it's like you may not necessarily know what season's coming next, but you can recognize certain patterns of seasonal behavior. I'm not even sure if that's a thing. But I'm coining that term. If that is not a thing, you heard it here first. Seasonal behavior, characteristics of seasonal behavior.
But there's times too that you're going through these seasons, and as you're going through them, it's like you're learning so much from them that when you get into the good season, it changes you. Like your mindset change, your attitude, the way you were, like everything just changed.
I feel like that's the purpose of going through bad seasons, though.
I guess.
And as unpleasant as they are, I've come to realize there are some lessons that you will learn in bad seasons that you could never learn in a good season.
Yeah. So even though it's a bad season, when you come out of it, you realize, like, you know what? Because I've been through some things, and I've been through some seasons when I'm like, I get out of them and I'm like, Lord, thank you for taking me through that situation, because who I am right now, where I am right now, if it wasn't for that season, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Well, preach that word.
So I appreciate it. It didn't feel good while I was there. It felt like it just felt lonely. It was hurtful. It was hard to deal with. But being in that season, help you in a way where you have greater appreciation for you or whoever is involved in that season, where you're like, you know what? You see things differently. You appreciate things differently. You don't take things for granted. You don't look at things and be like, you know what? Yep, that's nothing. I deserve this. But you have a greater appreciation for the things that you have.
I'm going to be honest. When I be coming out of certain seasons, it be like that footprints, man. I be looking back and I be like, yo, I don't even know how I made it out there. I'm like, God, you had to be carrying me, because if it was for me, I'd be laid out on the floor right there. Footprint number 2, like just laid out, like, take me now, Jesus. I can't go no further. So it's like when those situations happen, I look at it and I'm like, God, I know it had to be you. I think that's why. I think that is a sole reason that he takes me through some really rough seasons, to just let me know, like, listen,
if it hadn't been,
you know, you couldn't have got through this by yourself. So just look what I'm able to do, even in these seasons that seem like they're the worst.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think, you know, for every season, despite whether it be good, whether it be bad, or whether it be somewhere in between, I think every season we encounter has a purpose.
It does, yep.
Even if we don't understand what that purpose is, I do believe that God will bring us through different seasons of our life to teach us different things, to mold us into different people, to shape us into what he wants us to be. It's like the seasons that we go through are all shaping us into this perfect masterpiece of God's grace for us, you know. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Now, this one's going to be a good one. This one's going to be a really good question right here. And I've thought about this in really different ways. What are some ways that we can recognize the seasons that we are in your opinion?
So in my opinion, let me see. Okay, some ways that I think that, you know, I can recognize the season that I'm in is through the problems, through the trials, through the things that are happening around me.
I like that one.
So and sometimes you don't recognize it at first. I never recognize it at first. But when you really, like for me, I'll go through some things, some seasons, and I have to really sit down and really think. And it requires a lot of thinking. It requires just being in a secret place, like quiet, you know, not too much noise around. And being in that quiet place for me allow me to really see things and allow me, like it's like someone just pulled the curtain and just playing out what's going on so I could see it. And I find myself in season where I'm like, you know, it's hard because I don't know how to get out of this season. And I kind of don't want to get out of this season. But with everything that I'm seeing is telling me it's time. But your flesh want to hold on to it. Like I want to hold on to it. But then my spirit is saying, or God is telling me, this season is over. And I'm saying, no, I want to hold on. No, don't take it away from me.
That right there is a really deep point.
You know, but everything that I'm seeing, everything that's playing out in front of me is saying it's time. And you just don't want to let go. And sometimes that's when you find yourself in a bad season because God has to say, all right, you're holding on so much. I got to take you through some things. You don't want him to
take you through that roller coaster ride,
I got to take you through some things. I got to force you to let go.
And that's not pleasant.
I have to make you let go because you don't want to let go. You're holding on so tight that I'm going to have to yank you away.
Yikes.
From the situation or from the season that you're in. And that if God has to do that, it's not going to be an easy thing.
And that's the thing. It's like we get comfortable in certain seasons. It's kind of like wearing winter clothes in summertime.
Yeah.
It's like the season is past, but we tend to
you can see it, you can feel it,
hold on to it.
But you're holding on.
But this is one of the things that I've realized is like sometimes when I pray about certain things, it's like I'll recognize things around me are forcing me to do the thing that I've prayed for. Like, for example, it's like I remember one time I was like, God, I really want to pray more. That was my prayer to God. And then everything just started going crazy around me. Like, literally.
Oh, you want to pray more?
Everything started going crazy around me. I'm like, what in the world?
That's not what I meant.
What in the world is happening right now? Why is everything going crazy? Why are people going crazy? Why is craziness happening on the job? Why is craziness happening all around me? And it's like God's like, oh yeah, you want to pray more? I'm gonna give you something to pray more about, boy. And it's like, in those moments, it's like, okay, God, this isn't exactly what I had in mind, but Lord, please help me through these times that I'm going through. I don't know what you're doing, but I need you to help me in these moments. Or it's like you're like praying, you're like, God, I want to be more patient with people. And then all of a sudden you start noticing that people just start acting crazy all of a sudden.
You're like,
it's like they want to be you get like people randomly wanting to flip off and people randomly want to be mean. And you're like, what's wrong with these people? And
God's like, patience.
God's like, you asked me to teach you patience, so I'm going to give you opportunities to be patient. Yeah, I'm going to give you these opportunities to really, exercise patience. And then you have these seasons where you're like, and one of the things that you said that I really liked was being able to reflect on what is happening around you. Because I feel like God will show you the type of season that you're in,
but you gotta see it.
You really have to sit and look. He's like, you want to see? Come sit down. Just sit here quiet for a minute and just meditate on what's happening around you, and I'll show you what's going on around you. For example, perfect example, God will put you in a situation where nothing around you is going right. Like when I say nothing is going right, it's like you can't understand what's going on, and it will look like there is nothing good that is happening.
That's like a Job moment right there.
Yeah. And in those moments where you can't see what's going on, those are the moments where God's like, I'm teaching you how to trust me. I'm teaching you how to trust me to be who I am. And this is one thing that, God has really been working out with me is this fact that if I recognize what God's character is, then nothing that happens will really sway me. And what I mean by that is it doesn't mean that things won't happen where I'm like, yo, God, what's going on? Or, I don't question God, because when things happen that I don't understand, I'm asking questions. It doesn't mean that I doubt that God can do all the things that he said that he can do, but it does mean that I'm confused about what's going on around me. But if I understand the character of God, if I understand that, God is faithful, God is true, God said he's going to take me somewhere, he's going to do something in my life, then since I know who he is and how he acts, then I know that,
trust him.
He's going to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to do it. And it's those moments where you don't see it, where, at least for me, that's where I feel like he's leading me to trust him more.
Yeah, I mean, God will do anything. I've come to realize that God will do anything to get your attention.
And sometimes that's not fun.
But it doesn't matter. If he wants your attention, he's going to get it.
He got Moses with the burning bush.
Yeah, he's going to get it. So,
So even on those lines, sometimes it really does take that time to just really pull yourself away and then just reflect to really be able to identify like what's going on around you and to really tap into to what God is trying to tell you. Because I think a lot of times like people pray and we talk, but we never really sit to listen for a response.
Yeah. And sometimes people are not comfortable or not, it's like they're scared of the silence. Where it's like they're scared of just sitting in complete silence and just think. And I feel like life does that to us at times where it's so busy. You're always on the go. You never stop. You're working 2-3 jobs. You're in school. You're working. Like, you just never stop. So when you're able to stop, or when something happened, like if you lost your job or something, and God is like, okay, you had 3 jobs. You just lost one. Whoop. Next month, you lost the other one. Now you're not so busy. And now you have to sit and you're pulling your hair out because you're like, wait, I'm not used to this. This is new for me. Like, and God is like, I want you. I'm trying to get your attention. I'm trying to teach you something, but you can't handle it because it's too quiet. But sometimes we have to get comfortable with being in the quiet place where it's not too loud. Because when it's too loud, we can't really, God is not able to help us to show us things. We can't hear nothing. He's speaking and he's like, and you're praying, you're like, oh God, help me, talk to me, tell me what to do, Lord. He's like, I've been talking to you. Like,
man, just be quiet and listen to what I'm trying to tell you.
I've been talking to you. I'm trying to get you to listen. But we're just too busy. So then he had to take some stuff away from us to get us to sit still so we could hear him.
Another thing you said that really resonated with me was this fact that sometimes God will be trying to pull stuff away from us and we be trying to fight hard to hold on to it. We be like, no, but God, no, I don't want to let go of it. You know, and this doesn't necessarily have to be something that's necessarily bad for you that you don't want to let go of. This could be, you know, a relationship. This could be friendships. This could be, you know, associations. This could be a job. Like, because I remember when I was working security and I used to get to the point where I used to wake up and I'd be like, how many sick days do I got? Like, can I really have to go in? And I hated it to the point of like I didn't want to be there, but I was so complacent in it because the money was like decent for what I was doing. And it's like, I'm like, okay, but what am I going to do? And I remember it was like, you know, you was like, maybe you should be a teacher. And I was like, me? Teach? What? Are you crazy? Like, I would never have even thought of like doing that. And it's like, you know, just being able to take those steps to like do something different. You know, it's like God has something better for us so many times. And he's like, listen, he's like, just let go of what I'm telling you to let go of so I can put something else in your hands. But it's like we're so busy trying to, you're like, but God, no, I'm used to this. I want to hold on to it. God, I'm trying to salvage this. And God's like, listen, I'm trying to bring you to better and you're stuck on mediocre. He's like, I'm trying to bring you to your best and you're still holding on to your good. He's like, we holding on to the keys of a beat up like hoop ride, and God's like, I got the keys to the Benz in my hand, but you gotta let go of the hoopty.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like, and I look at even the jobs that I have, I feel like God always have to interrupt something.
Yeah, God be upsetting you,
disturbing something for me to walk away, and it happened to like every job that I've ever had. That's what always have to happen, where I have to come to my wit's end to say, you know what, someone has to like, really do something really bad to me, and I'm like, okay, for me to say, okay, it's time. And I feel like that's what always happened to me, because I'm holding on and I'm like, yes, I love this. I love what I'm doing. I'm excited because I'm comfortable. And then God have to disturb.
God's like,
and
I'm going to
put me
shake the tree.
Yeah.
I'm
He
going to
has to
shake
make
the
me
tree.
Very, very uncomfortable for me to walk away. And that's how I walk away. Every job that I got, that I ever done, for me to look for another job, there has to be a shake-up for me to say, okay,
I'm going
to
to shake this tree. You
It's
gonna
time.
get out this tree. You going to go somewhere else. And,
Yeah.
you know, so this one, and this is going to be our wrap-up question right here. It's like, what advice would you give to, you know, some of our listeners, whether it be first time, whether they tune in week after week? Like, what are some tips that we can give them on how to navigate the different seasons of their lives?
Honestly, just really look. Like, observe, look. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable it feels. Just try to find a quiet space where you could just really think and what's the word I'm looking for? Reflect. Just reflect.
That has become one of my favorite words.
Just reflect on your life. Reflect on you, who you are as an individual. Reflect on where you're trying to get to. And if you're not there, and if when you reflect and you look into yourself, because self-awareness is everything. When you look into yourself and you don't see what you know you should be, and especially when it comes to people, and I want to say this, because when it comes to people, you have to reflect and know what's draining you, where you're putting your energy. And if the answer is like, oh my gosh, this person really takes everything out of me, then maybe that season has come to an end where you're gonna have to, because guess what, your peace, and we talk about this
protecting your
peace. And you know, and I want to say something, because sometimes you talk about protecting your peace and you're trying to protect your peace, and the devil will bring everything around you, everything to you, to say, oh, what? You're going to protect your peace? I'm going to disturb this.
He's going to try to disrupt it as much as possible.
And I'm going to see what you're going to do about it. And we talked about this last week. And was it last week we talked about it?
I think it all becomes a blur to be honest.
You know,
I believe it was last week.
We talk about that, and it's like the devil will bring things to disturb your peace. And sometimes he gets us where we don't realize what he's doing, because he's throwing all these fiery darts and we don't see it come in.
Hit you with the old switcherooski. He's like, you thought I was coming from that way, but look, I came from that way.
So it's like, and that's what the Bible talk about, you know, putting on the full armor of God so that you can, you know, withstand when the enemy try to come at you. But sometimes as Christian, like when life gets so busy and things start happening, it's like you don't really see it. And when the enemy start throwing these things at you, that's when you realize, and you're like, oh, wait. And sometimes people are like, oh, it's too late. Man, he already got me. But no, like, it's not too late. You have to try to find a time where you can go into like a quiet space and reflect on who you are, and reflect on the things around you, the people around you, and said, are they building me up? Or are this issue or whatever it is pulling me down?
Yeah.
And I always said I refuse for people or things to make me come out of my character,
I think we talked about that last week too,
as a person. And sometimes you say this and you may find yourself in a situation where you don't even realize what's happening, and in the middle of the situation you're like, wait a minute, this thing is really trying to get me to go the other way, and I'm trying to stay on this side. They're trying to
see old Chica,
you know. And I'm like, and I said to myself, you know, you can't. And that's when you have to really get it in you and say, you know what, this situation right here or this thing right here is not worth it.
Gotta pump the brakes.
And you really have to stop. And it could be anything. It could be a job. It could be anything. You have to realize, you have to reflect and know and say, you know what? Is it worth it? It's not worth it. it's not worth the energy. It's not worth my peace. Mm-hmm. It's not worth my happiness. Like, and something that, for people out there who are struggling, you have to realize, like, how long did it take for you to get there, for you to get to where you are now after trying to protect your peace for so long? How long did it take? And now that you're there, it take you years. And now that you're there, it's only like a second or a minute or 5 minutes for you to lose all of that. You work too hard.
That's true. You put in that work. Why throw it all away? And something you said about that I liked was the fact that, and you didn't say it exactly like this, but you can't give more than you have. And that's big. If you only have a gallon inside of you, you can't give 2 gallons. You can't give 5 gallons. You can't give 10 gallons. You only got a gallon. And if every time you filling up your gallon bucket, someone's sucking that gallon out of you, that's a problem. If they're not pouring back in, all they're doing is taking out, red flag. Yeah. Red flag. Seriously, for our listeners, and navigating the different seasons that we encounter, whether good or bad, one of the things that I would say that I would try to give you to help you in this is the fact that if you're going through a bad season, just know it can't be forever. It can't be forever. That's true. Season will change. It's not going to be pleasant. It may be challenging. It may be difficult, but 1, you can make it through the season. And 2, it won't be forever. Yeah. And as I said earlier in the episode, I honestly believe that the seasons that we go through are trying to teach us, trying to mold us, trying to shape us into something. And it's just, you just have to figure out what it is that you're meant to learn in this season. Are you trying to be taught patience? Are you trying to be taught, resilience? Are you trying to be taught stamina, perseverance? What is God trying to teach you in this season? Is he trying to teach you how to love people who seem to be unlovable? Is he trying to teach you how to deal with difficult people? There's many different things that we can learn through the seasons that we go through. And one of the things I remember, I was talking to one of my friends from high school. It was a while ago. And I was like, we talk. I can't even remember the topic of conversation, but he's like, listen, he's like, in life, he's like, we don't lose. He's like, we either win. He's like, or we learn. He's like, but we don't lose. So in the seasons that you're going through, in the great seasons when you're winning, #winning, enjoy it. Be grateful for it. But in the seasons that seem less pleasant, try to figure out the lessons that you're trying to be taught. Try to figure out the things that you're trying to be equipped with, because it's in those rough seasons that we learn the things that we need to keep us. As I said, there's seasons that you learn, and there's lessons you learn in the bad seasons that you can never learn in the good ones. So try to figure out what those lessons are. Don't be discouraged when you're going through a bad season. You ain't got to be doing nothing wrong to be going through a rough season. You could be doing everything right, and then you're like, oh, wow, going through a bad season. I'm in this rough season for no reason.
What you said also remind me of this. It was I was talking to a amazing friend of mine, and we're talking, and we talk about, like, Elijah. 1 minute he's up, 1 minute he's down, and it's just like, okay, 1 minute I could just do wonders, and the next minute I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Like,
take me now, Lord. Take me now, Lord.
So it's like, as people, we're up and down.
Roller coaster ride.
We're up and down.
It is like a roller coaster ride.
1 minute, we're like, yes, I'm good. My mind is right. I'm in a great place. I'm in a great, season in my life, and things are going good. And then, your mindset has made up, and you're like, nothing can get me down. And and like for me, when I'm like, nothing will disturb my peace. And this is my thing from the beginning of the year. And I've been saying that since last year, but I really come to grips with it this year. But even at work and different places, like, you'll find things that's really trying to disrupt your peace. And the more you say it, it just seems like the more the enemy is like, yeah, bloop, what,
like,
what?
Who can't disrupt your peace?
What?
I can't disrupt your peace?
So,
you say, I can't watch me try to disrupt your peace.
But you really cannot give up.
Yes.
You cannot give up.
This ain't a one-time thing.
No, you have to stay. Like perseverance. You have to persevere. You have to be determined that nothing, you're not going to, and even if, you slip and something disturb you or something,
you better get back up and dust yourself off. Dust yourself off.
So we as people cannot stay where we are. It doesn't matter how many times we fall. You got to get back up. You got to keep going again. You have to. Your life depends upon it. So the stress of life, everything that we're going through, the season, it will pass. It will change. It will not last always. And as I'm speaking, like I'm encouraging myself because I need to hear this. Because sometimes, you go through things and sometimes, you're trying to help others and it's like, you're trying to get somewhere and you're trying to do something and then it's like the enemy hits you and you're like, wait a minute, like what? I didn't see this coming. But so the Bible says we should always pray. You can't we can't
pray without ceasing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Pray without ceasing.
I got you.
I
got you.
So I love this episode, and as we continue, the enemy's gonna try to come at us. But
he's always gonna have something.
We know that we have a greater person, God, who is fighting on our behalf.
Than he that is in the world.
We don't have to worry about anything. So yeah.
And I think even with this, one thing you said that I like was the part about falling. Like even if you slip up and you find yourself yelling at someone one day because you just get to the point where you're like, enough is enough. Don't let the enemy fool you into thinking that is where you stand. Even if you fall, you get back up and you keep trucking as if it's nothing. Because, fall doesn't mean failure. It is just a momentary stop. The only time you fail is when you refuse to get back up and keep pushing and keep fighting and keep trying. So, you want to stay on top of that. And another thing that I really love that you stressed on was the fact that, this is a process. I got to say this again. If you didn't hear me, this is a process. This isn't a one-time thing. This isn't just you get your quick fix and, you're good. This is a process. You have to keep at this. There are going to be days where you're like, I don't feel like I got much peace right now. Right now, I feel like everything around me is going crazy, but I'm trying to protect my peace, and you got to keep working at it. You got to keep, practicing this. This honestly, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Yep.
That is the peace. That's it right there. This is a lifestyle. You have to live this out day by day, saying, it doesn't matter the season that I'm going through. I know that I'm going to make it out. I know that when I come out this season, I'm going to be better than when I went in. It doesn't matter how I'm feeling in this moment. I recognize that when I come out this moment, I'm going to be better off than when I came in. And that's really the mindset. Like, that's the mindset you really got to take with life in general, because there's going to be some discouraging times. There's going to be times where you want to give up. There's going to be times where you're looking and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But you got to really live it out where you tell yourself this is just a season.
Yeah. And I know we got to wrap up, but I want to say one more thing because it just came to me. When we're going through our season in life, we can't just lock away from everybody, lock away from the world. And then, that's when we become like we can start hearing all the voices.
Yeah, you isolate yourself.
And you isolate yourself and you're like, and your voices just keep talking to you. This one hates you. This one, you're no good. Da, da, da. Whatever he's saying to you. And then before you know it, you end up in a state where you're like, you can't pick yourself up to get up out of that state of mind.
That's true.
And you're stuck in that season. And it doesn't matter what God or what anyone is telling you to do. You can't pull yourself away from that season.
And that's a dangerous space to be in.
And that's when it becomes dangerous.
That is a dangerous space to be in.
So the season that you're in, shouldn't. I know it's bad. I know you're going through some rough times. I know you're going through some rough things. But you have to find the strength. You have to find the strength to pull yourself up.
And
pull yourself
and
out.
honestly, sometimes it can be as simple as, I'm going to make it through this.
Yeah. It's gonna
literally telling yourself. I'm not talking about just thinking. I mean, like, audibly looking yourself in the mirror. No matter what season you're going through, if you're watching this right now and you're going through, you just need to tell yourself right now, like, yo, I am going to make it through this.
It's going to get better.
I can make it through this.
It will get better. Yeah.
This can't last forever.
It won't last always.
I'm not going to be in this season forever. I can make it through this.
And we said, death and life.
Death and life.
The power of your tongue.
It really
you have
is.
to speak
you
it like
be having
you
to say those things.
You have to say. There's times I look myself and I'm talking to myself and I'm like, Sheikah, get it together. It's gonna work. And I would say my whole government name, Sheikah.
Don't tell them you. I'm
government.
not.
As I said, Sheikah Pritchard, you're gonna get out of this. It's gonna be okay. You will be all right. This is not going to last always.
This ain't the end. This ain't the end of the story.
I have to speak to myself like this even today, I was speaking to myself like that.
But honestly, after you do it though, it's like the feeling that you get. It's like you really do get that strength to be like, yo, you know what?
I could go on another day.
I think I really can make it.
I could put one foot
you in front of the other, and you just keep going.
I can make it.
Yes,
and
you really do have to talk yourself into it sometimes, because there's a lot of times where it's not gonna feel like you can make it,
and you may not even have anyone to
it's
help you.
Not gonna feel like it's getting better, and you gotta talk yourself into it. You literally gotta make yourself believe it. You're like, I don't feel it, but
that's where that faith comes in.
You're like, I'm gonna make it.
I'm gonna make it.
I'm gonna be all right.
We're gonna make it. You're
gonna make it. Yes, you are going to make it.
You're gonna make it.
Well,
all right. I feel like I want to like praise the Lord. Like,
she's about to go. I was about to be like, yes. Oh. All right. Enough of that. I'm going to stop. Y'all try to start something today. Oh my gosh. Remember, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, feel free to drop a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Once again, I always say this. Well, I've been saying it recently. I don't know why. But I always want to, if you need us to pray for you, you want us to pray for you, you just drop that in the comments. Be like, yo, pray for me. You ain't got to tell us what you want us to pray for you for. You just drop it in there.
Send us a private message.
Yeah, you can send us a message.
You don't need to know that you need prayer.
Just like, hey, yo, pray for me. Like, we got you, But we hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Remember, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So make sure you speak life. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you haven't gotten the book, When Three Roads Collide,
you need to go to
3roadscollide.com. You can see everything we do. You can order your book. And it's the same book. Don't worry. We haven't changed. We haven't written a second book as of yet, but I'm sure it is going to come. But
it's going to be amazing.
Yes, this book is amazing already. So if you haven't gotten it, I'm telling you, you get this book, you will be blessed. But we love y'all. We appreciate y'all tuning in. And we pray that you have an amazing week. Love you guys.
God bless.